Welcome to day 3 in our Christmas week of Webisodes. And Teresa loves, and you love, and we love our layering stamps. We've got more for you.
We do. We have wreaths, pine cones, holly, poinsettias, everything you need for Christmas.
Absolutely. Wait till you see what she's done.
Come play with us.
Well, here they are.
And they are just beautiful. Layering wreath and pine cones.
And then the poinsettia and the holly. So they all have that 3-step process, and it's shown on the back, so you don't have to remember this or refer back. You've got it when you get the stamps.
Right. So they're numbered. They're going to tell you exactly what that process is. Smaller pine cones, larger ones. The one thing that's different about the holly is that you stamp the holly and the wreath, excuse me, and you're done. You've got one like a pine wreath or a fir leaf wreath, and then you've got a twig wreath, and then you've got all these little accents to add to it.
Different things you can do. Well, let's get into this to show you what we're talking about. So here is the wreath, just beautifully done, of course. Pine cones have been added and the bow. And I know what you're thinking, or somebody is there a cutting die? No, there isn't.
There's not a cutting die. Those were just cut out, but that's pretty simple to do.
Yeah.
When you leave a little bit of an edge around those pine cones, around that bow, it's going to be very simple to cut that out. It gives you a matted image.
Now I'm noticing a light and a dark gradation on this.
Right.
Not done with stamping, but done with ink pads.
I want to point out, remember what I said, that the wreath is not layered. It's just one stamp. But the pine cones and the bow, they are layered.
Right.
So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, very simple to create that look. But with the wreath, you can also get a dual color in there. I've got my Misty stamping platform. We've got a new platform too available. We've got the Tim Holtz one.
Finally.
I'm using the Misty today. I've got some cardstock. I've got my stamp. So that is the fir bough stamp. And Teresa used the Cat's Eye, the color box Cat's Eye Q inks. These are really well used, so you can probably see that. Several different colors she used for this card. I'm going to use the greens right now, and I'm going to start with kind of this olive green here, and I'm going to...
This is the yellow-green set. And,
that's right, yellow-green.
Also, I think you have the red set over there.
The reds and the rich rustics.
Yeah.
I've got all of those.
The red and the yellow-green are exclusive to Paper Wishes, so you
right.
won't find those anywhere else. So you're stamping all over?
All over.
Okay.
Completely cover that and use the one of the nice features about using the Misty. I can stamp right there, and it's a really light ink pad, so I'm sort of thinking of using a different color so you can, it's sort of, let me use this one, see if I can get it to show up a little bit more for you. I'm not sure. I think we use these constantly. So that green that I just used, it's light because it's running out of ink, and I didn't test that before I came. But, I really need to get it a little darker, so I'm just going to use a little darker ink one more time. But anyway, the nice feature about the Misty, I can just kind of go and I can stamp, and then I can re-stamp right in the same place, so that it
not that that would ever happen to you,
no,
right?
But if I just had that on an acrylic block and I was trying to line that up
hard.
And stamp again, well, it'd be impossible, really. So you get that on there, and if I miss any areas, I can press it again. So now we've got one color stamped. And then what Teresa did is she used the Cat's Eye Q. She chose a darker ink, so nice dark one, and she just went on the inside. I will say that she also cleaned that off first with a wipe. So if you don't want to get one ink pad onto another one, you don't want to get one color on there. So let's clean that off, and then I'm going to use this just right on the inside of that. And that's what's nice about this. It's small enough that I can just sort of get right in where I want to go. And I'm just going to work on the inner edges.
I don't think I've seen that done on the layering stamps before, so that's great.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to use several different colors, and you can do that with any of the layering stamps. Choose to do that with the flowers or just about anything. And there we go. So you can see There we go.
Wow.
That's the result. So
Boy.
aside
Nice.
from my having to stamp several times because I ran out of ink.
Actually, you demonstrated that very nicely, the reason why you would want to have a platform. So she went back and used, these are the Nouveau glitter drops to use those, to make those red little berries. Kind of looks like stickles, which the Nouveau glitter drops are. And then as Gail said, you've got the 3 layers to do the pine cones. And let me show those to you on the package. Let's see, there they are. So you do, number 1 is the solid, number 2, and then number 3 is the fine detail.
And it's very similar, or the same really, as doing the layering flowers. And we have webisodes that show those as well. So
And the
you can
butterflies.
see that process.
Now, oh, let me show you the inside. Also, always with our stamps, our silicone stamps, is that you're going to get greetings with them. So you're not stuck to have to go and buy another set. Everything is included. This has holiday greetings on the inside. So she switched the bow. The bow is at the top, down at the bottom. She switches it this way.
Really a cute idea.
Pine cones going up. Same technique though, going on the inside.
Plus you're getting those sentiments right there on the stamp set.
Right. Okay, now this is drop dead gorgeous.
Yes, it is.
She used a gold embossing powder to do the wreath. Now she used the twig wreath, and isn't that stunning?
That is beautiful. So just use your Versamark, stamp it with the Versamark, and then dust it with the gold embossing powder.
Right.
Just beautiful, just the way it is. But then she went back, and there are those smaller elements, the little berries, and it actually comes here. I'm going to grab the stamp set. So the berries you can get all in one thing like that.
No, you
like
don't
a
have to
wreath.
do them individually.
Right, so you can just stamp that entire piece right on top of those twigs with Versamark again, dust it with red glitz embossing powder.
Right.
And that's the look you're going to get.
Oh, so easy. We just saved you a whole lot of steps doing that.
Beautiful. I love how it's matted with alternating colors. And it's
Very
just
pretty.
beautiful.
And very pretty with the gold metallic and the holographic. On the inside, we've got the wreath and same elements going for it.
Right. So
Again,
you-
the bow at the top.
Right, but this time using an actual ribbon bow, so
Yeah.
that's another treatment. And
Very pretty.
Just beautiful.
Yes, excellent, excellent. I just love that.
Okay.
In fact, doing the gold embossing, try it with many things because it's just lovely. Now we have another version, and this is done with the green. And
Right, and
the
again,
message inside.
using the green, the fir bough wreath. So, and you've got it green, but it was done a little differently. So let me pull this in, and we'll do this in another way. I've got my fir bough wreath. I've got it in my MISTI, ready to go. But I have watercolor paper.
Ah.
So for this one, Teresa actually used the Marvy Le Plume pens, and she's got several of them used. In this one, I've got the olive green and the pine green, and this is just kind of a fun process. So I'm going to have to scoot that down, get that in the middle here. And we're going to start with the lighter color, and
just
I'm
like you
just
did when
going-
you did the stamping.
just with the stamping as well. So I'm going to just color all. I've got the wide tip, and I've got it kind of down at an angle. If I did like this, it would take forever.
Yeah.
So I want to lay that down, get that wide area going.
Now, we were first introduced to the Le Plume when Bonnie was here from Art Impressions,
Right.
and someone asked in the comments, can you do the same technique on clear stamps? Well, here's your answer.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, there you go. So I've got that on there, but what we're going to do before we stamp it is I'm going to spritz it lightly, just with a little bit of water.
Yeah, not much.
Not much, just once is enough. And then I'm going to press it in. And what Teresa said is when she pressed it in, she held it for about 30 seconds.
Oh.
She was giving it time to really soak into that paper.
Now, you're not going to get as defined images this technique because you're going to get that watercolor and
Right.
things are going to bleed a
Well,
little
it's
bit.
going to absorb into the paper, and that's what watercolor paper is for. So let's go ahead and lift it up and see what our result is. So, ooh, it's kind of a nice watercolory look, and I imagine you could do that again if
pretty.
you want that to go a little further. But the next thing she did, and let's get back up to our stamp. See if I can, there we go, sorry John. And clean that off just a little bit. Now I'm going to that darker marker. And just like the last one, I'm going to start and go around the inner edges. So we're going to make some, we're going to make it so that the center of that wreath looks like it has a highlight, but the inner edge and the outer edge, in this case, is going to have a darker effect. And here we go, all the way around the outer edge. I'm going to spritz it again with the water, and then same process, put it on there and hold it in place. And I can sort of see right through there that it's a little darker out on the edges. I really want to hold it down and give it a chance to work its way in. So, a few more seconds.
La 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 la.
We need the Jeopardy music right
Well,
here.
actually, I can tell you a little bit while you're doing that is who's Teresa? Well, Teresa Welch was the second person I hired at Hot Off the Press. And she did everything. We shipped boxes, we wrote books, we did photography. And years ago, she married and moved to Arizona, but she still works with us.
Right, and she is an amazing source of ideas.
That's gorgeous.
Look at that.
Yes.
Now, let's put that card right next to it. So here's what I think. Why this is so much different than hers. And I love both looks, I really do. I'm sure that she spritzed that with a little more water than I did. So that's a great look. It makes it look more full, or you can get this lighter look.
So now you know, one sprit and more than one.
Right, right.
Very good.
And stamp it again if you want it thicker than that, and add a little more water.
Okay.
Fun. So fun.
On the inside of her card, well, she did a similar technique, but this time with the twig wreath. So there you go.
Beautiful.
Again, using some darker areas, and it works beautifully both ways. Okay, now
the little red on top.
Oh, yes.
Those are the enamel accents.
Right. Those are brand new, and you can see that they stay raised. We'll go back in a little bit more.
So you just, it's like a fine tip little applicator, and you just drop them on. And I love how clear they are. They look like those clear red berries. That's a perfect look on that.
And while we're that close, I'm going to show you the poinsettia. And there is the black enamel accents right in the center of the poinsettia.
Right.
Now, the poinsettia has the same process. I'll show you on the back of it, 1, 2, 3 steps. And there's also poinsettias and there's holly. So we're going to see that with the holly sprigs as well as individual leaves. And of course you've got the stems, and again you have different greetings. So this scrapbook page has 2 clusters of poinsettias on it. They are a little duller than what you might think, especially after we've just gone with these. And it's because they were done with what?
With Distress Oxide inks, my new favorite toy in the world. And it's so much fun. All of those layers are done with that Distress Oxide ink. So you actually get a little bit of modeling because that's just inherent to the actual ink.
Right.
But let me just show you real quickly the layering process. Again, right now I just have cardstock in here. I've got my base layer, my #1 stamp.
Which is the solid piece.
Which is the solid piece. And I've got the new Distress Oxide inks. Some of them are new. Look at this one, Candied Apple, so beautiful. We've got Walnut Stain, that's an older one, and we've got Worn Lipstick. And these are the 3 that Teresa used just for those, but for the other one, for the leaves, she's got Peeled Paint and the new Twisted Citron. Nice bright colors, so much fun. Little excited about that. The base, she used Worn Lipstick, so that nice pink is going to be in the background. I'm going to ink that up. She did not say that she spritzed these with water, so I'm not going to do that. I am going to go ahead and stamp that, and if I think it needs a little bit more, then I will ink it up again. And you can do this as many times as you want to make sure that you get nice even coverage.
And the Distress Oxide has a flatter color, a more matte finish to it.
Right,
as you can see it.
So I would give that a little bit of a chance to dry, and then I would set on my next layer. And you're just going to want to look at the edges and line that up. It's really pretty simple. And you give yourself some time to just line those edges up. You can really see it pretty well, so that's going to be easy to do. There we go. We are lined up and ready to go. I pick that up, and then I do the red next, the Candied Apple, which is perfect for a nice red poinsettia. And I think, I also think this would be fun to do on black cardstock because Distress Oxide works on black cardstock really well. So you can see it a little bit, but I'm going to do it, I'd probably do it a couple of times. And I'm not going to go ahead and do that final layer for you because you can see the process. It's 1, it's 2, and then that final layer, oh, beautiful, beautiful. That final layer will be layer number 3, and the result is what you see
right there. So, and you can see the leaves back behind. And so in this case, as we pointed out, Teresa has done 2 clusters, a 3 grouping and a 2 grouping. So very pretty, just frames things very, very nicely.
Just beautiful. Okay.
Now, here is another take.
idea.
I love this. I think it's just beautiful. I love how she's got the holly going behind the poinsettia.
So that's really easily done. Stamp that first base layer on scrap paper, cut it out, and then after you've stamped your poinsettia, you can set that right on top of it. It covers it
to create
as
a mask.
and then you can start stamping your holly and it'll look like it's behind it. But I also like the little spatters around here, and Teresa will actually take her Distress Oxide ink pad. We've got a craft sheet here. You press that into the craft sheet and then spritz a little water on it and pick it up with a brush and spatter it on there.
Right. It's a really nice technique. Now for the holly, you can see that there's the solid, number 1, number 2, and number 3 is creating those veins, and that's where you're getting that. And again, these were done with the Distress Oxides, weren't they?
And this, it was with the Distress Oxide, and of course using all 3 layers for each of those images that you're seeing.
And Let Your Heart Be Light, that's part of the stamp set. And then she's got another one on the inside, Joy and Love. So you could have 2 cards here very easily.
I think it's fun to create on tags and then decide, where do I want to put this? Do I want to put it on a gift? Do I want to put it on a card? It's kind of fun. You can do them ahead of time.
Now, look at this. Wow. Talk about thinking outside the box. I love this.
This is an incredible look. It's done with gold embossing powder, and it's done with the layering poinsettias, and it's only done with layer number 3.
Right. It's this one. There you go.
Right. So all 3 of those can be used to create a whole piece, or just that one last layer. You don't have to match up edges. You can just stamp this all over. And this is such a great look. Now, you might wonder how you notice that these are 1, 2, 3 different layers of cardstock. So how did she do all 3 and make them match? Because before she foam taped these in place, she laid these pieces of cardstock on top of each other. And I would use something like the repositional adhesive. This works great for that. Easy Dots, you can put that on the back of those pieces of cardstock and then just layer on top of each other, and then go ahead and stamp all over that. You stamp all 3 layers at once around the edges, in the center, add those swirls, damp with Versamark.
Yeah, they're not matted at that point, so you don't have multiple layers.
It's
you just have
the
3.
cardstock. Then when you're all done, you dust it with embossing powder. You're going to heat set, pull them apart, mat each one of them, and then foam tape them together.
Right, and we've used, or she's used, the metallic gold paper, which is, of course, is going to be beautiful with the gold embossing powder. While we're in close, you can see these stitches on these. Well, that's because Teresa used an Elizabeth Craft die, and it is called Stitched Rectangles. And I think there are stitched circles and other stitched ones. Teresa loves this. We've had to guarantee we'll never run out because it just adds a really nice little touch. So there you go. She's got the tag down there. And then on the inside, chose to leave it flat, but this has also been die cut with rectangles.
So when you say guarantee we never run out,
yeah, well,
you're
working
just
on
saying,
that.
You know, yeah. Teresa would like that to be the case. So
as long as Elizabeth Craft has it, we will keep it in stock.
Right.
So there you go. This is what I love what Teresa does. She does such a wonderful job, and that's our privilege to bring them to you.
So great fun and lots of different ways to use these layering stamps. We've got layering wreath and pine cones.
Right,
and holly.
Please join us tomorrow, day 4 of our wonderful Christmas week of Webisodes.
Okay.